Okay, in that last video, we talked about target date index funds is a great way to buy a globally diversified portfolio in a single convenient package, but you need somewhere to put your target date index fund. It can't just exist out in the world and it can't go in your checking or your savings account. So let's talk about some different types of accounts. So you're probably familiar with a bank and the two typical types of accounts you might find there, a checking account and a savings account. They both can only hold cash. You get them from like a credit union or Bank of America or something like that. But there's a new, different type of a set of accounts that are slightly different, and they are called brokerage accounts. You get them at a brokerage, and these brokerage accounts can hold cash, but they can also hold investments. So for example, a 401k is a type of brokerage account. You might have heard of that. It's a work-sponsored or employer-sponsored investment account that can hold investments. Another one is a Roth IRA, and yet another one is a taxable brokerage account you can see there. All three of these accounts, they're just accounts. They're fancy names, just like a savings account or a checking account. But instead of holding just cash, they can hold things like stocks and bonds and mutual funds and index funds and ETFs. We haven't talked about all that, but index funds are the important one. And so these are the type of account you need to open to put an index fund into. They differ only based on some of the rules that surround them. So for example, a Roth IRA right here, there, I'm touching it. Inside of a Roth IRA, you can hold, like I said, index funds and stocks and bonds, but any growth of those investments is never taxed again. So that's a great account that is given to us or is offered to us by the US federal government so that we can basically encourages us to invest for retirement. If you buy your index funds inside of a Roth IRA, it can grow an unlimited amount and they'll never ever be taxed again, which is beautiful. We don't go into that a lot more in this quick hour, but I'm going to, spoiler alert, at the very last video, I'm going to show you a little bit more about how to find more information about these different types of accounts. If you are thinking right now, wait a minute, what just happened? We were talking about stocks and then mutual funds and then index funds, which all hold stocks. And now we're talking about Roth IRAs. What's better, a Roth IRA or an index fund? Well, I'm going to explain that right now. And the answer is that doesn't really make sense because they're in different layers of investing. And so the layers of investing is as follows. At the core is the stocks. These are the things that you buy, buying a piece of companies that produce value, that do make profit, that pay dividends, that go up in value. That is what investing is actually all about. That's how you actually make money. But as we learned, it's actually very, either logistically difficult or hard to pick which stocks are the best. So you can buy a bunch of stocks in a convenient fund, like an index fund or an ETF or a mutual fund. And so stocks go inside of a fund. And then the fund has to go somewhere. The fund goes inside of an account. And so if you were saying what's better, an index fund or an IRA, that doesn't make sense. They're in different layers, right? Because an index fund goes inside of an IRA. And then the IRA has to go somewhere, and the IRA goes inside of a brokerage. It's like how your savings account is at a bank, your IRA is at a brokerage. And so this is the layers of investing. So don't get these confused. If you're wondering what's better, a 401k or an index fund, that doesn't make sense. In fact, we have another pop quiz. Here it comes. Pop quiz. What's better, a Roth IRA or an index fund? I spoiled that one already. And the answer is that doesn't make sense. You need them both. It's like asking what's better for running a shoe or a sock. You need both. The sock goes in the shoe, the foot goes inside of all of them, and then you run on the ground. And so going back to the layers of investing, you can see the index fund goes inside of the IRA. And the reason you put the index fund inside of the IRA, again, is for those tax benefits. So when it goes up in value, you don't have to pay tax on the growth. That's the beauty of the IRA. Okay, that is the basics of the different types of accounts. In the next video, we're going to go over the ultimate investing checklist. This is like a little post-it note that gives you everything you ever need to know about investing. It's going to be in the next video.